Alright, large bell C4, 5/8 on the bell housing bolts. The large bell bolts on out here, small bell bolts on with these bolts right here. 9/16 on the pump. .9/16 on the tail housing. This bracket here holds the tube for your vacuum line. This bracket here holds the modulator in. Come on out. .3/8 on the governor. There's a little filter sometimes in here. You can leave that out if you want to. Now the early modulators were screw-in, so you wouldn't have that bracket. There's our modulator pin. .5" on the governor housing. .5" on the servos. This tag tells us what the transmission fits. Let's see if we can see what that says later on and determine what this came out of, because this is going in a 1940 Ford Coupe, or came out of one, and they really did some modifications to it that I'm not too happy about. This shifter is the main one. Almost always the servo is rock hard. This one's halfway there, but we'll be putting one in. .3/4 on the band nuts. .5" on the pan. A lot of times you might need a chrome socket to get in there. These are kind of close to the pan. That's why you always need to use the pan bolts that come 4/4. Cannot put the Chevy ones in. If you do, you're more than likely gonna get right up against the crease right here and cut the pan, and you'll never get it to quit leaking. Sonac sells the pan bolts now if you need them. You got two different pans. You got the one where the filler tube screws into here, and then you got one that comes through the case. 3/8 on the valve body. Some of these have 7/16. Come on, quit rolling on me. Alright. Gonna be like that. The filter is cleanable if you can clean it out enough. They're cheap though. I just buy one. And struts. You can either get behind here at the sun shell or you can go on the drum and pop your pump out. So this is a 26 spline. Check our planet here. Make sure our pinions are okay. Sometimes this washer will come out. Make sure it's not pitted and your bearing's not pitted. Our band, still pretty decent shape, but I think we will replace it. Thrust washer. Our bushings look good. Everything there looks good. Our rear planet. Everything looks good there. Make sure your pinions don't wobble. No side to side movement where these washers are worn out. Washer here. New pair of snap ring pliers. Our snap ring. See if it was put in properly. Kind of hard to see. Yeah, kind of hard to tell. Washer. Make sure our sprag is holding. These sprags are really cheap also. You might want to go ahead and put one in while you're in there, especially if it's got a lot of miles on it. The rear bands are hardly ever bad. If they're glazed over, you can get some sandpaper and just kind of deglaze them. Our output shaft. Governor housing will come off now. Long tube goes here, short tube goes there. Make sure we're not ring cut. Washer goes on the front of the park gear. Make sure case bushing looks pretty good. Park mechanism. Pivot pin. You can take this out if you want to. I just leave it in there. There is another thrust washer behind there, behind this race. You can actually get to it once you take this out. If you're going to change the rollers, I just change them in there. I leave it like it is, and I pull them out one by one and replace them. It makes it a whole lot easier. So, the case is pretty much empty. washer here. Our clutch hub. A little rough where the clutches went bad, but it's still good. Our bushing's okay. This washer's okay. We're gonna need both pressure plates on this and steels. Another snap ring, bevel plate. Make sure it's not cracked. It does have a ridge built into here where the pressure plate was digging into it. I think I'll go ahead and replace it because it does have a tendency to crack, and we just don't want it to happen on our watch. The ring. Piston. Somebody's put some Dr. Tranny or something in here. Anytime your lip seals are drooping off of there like that, somebody's put some B12 Chem Tool. I can even smell it. And Dr. Tranny, one of those stop leak things in there. And that's what happens to your rubber in your transmission. Like it's drooping off of that one there. It might cure your problem for a day or two, but that's what's going to happen, and you're going to be rebuilding it anyway. Our direct steels are okay. Take this drum apart. Snap ring, retainer, return spring, and let's see if we can get this out of here. And then we go again, just drooping off and ½ inch on the pump. Make sure our surface here is okay. Make sure our ring lands aren't messed up. Pump gear goes with the bevel. Inner gear goes with the bevel facing towards the front. Make sure we're not all eat up here. Looks like it's barely been in the pump gears. So we're going to have to look at that when we go back in. We'll make sure that the converter's not pulling too far forward. I have to go out there and make sure that the flywheel is right and that the crank ain't floating or something like that. The inner gear or outer gear does not matter which way it goes. Make sure our surface here is okay. And pretty good. Alright, let me go write this one up. Alright, so what we're going to do on this one. LS kit, filter, pump bushing, front band, modulator, forward steels, both forward pressure plates, forward bell spring, sprag, rear servo. My torque converter has smooth body 26 spline, and the drain plug is next to the stud. I guess that's it until we rebuild it, and we'll try to decipher that tag that was on there.